I'm a gap year student, and I interned with 826 Boston at the Margarita Movies Academy. I think belonging is always a question. There are 8 billion people in this world, but when you're living with 4, it becomes a lot smaller. I'm finishing SITC this week, leaving for an internship in Spain next month, and then going to California in August to study international relations. It's called a transition period, but it's a surreal feeling that my home is no longer Austin, Texas, and my high school friends are no longer my closest friends. I think what I've learned, though, is that you can build community with anyone around you. In fact, you kind of have to. It's crucial. You need people around you that you can relate to, and also people you can't relate to at all. You need people who think the same way as you, and people who completely surprise you with every word they say. No matter what, you need a support system to lean on. That's the biggest thing I've learned as part of this program. 14 weeks doesn't seem like that long, but the friendships I've formed prove otherwise. The first week, orientation week, was filled with lessons on budgeting, how to avoid starting a fire, which I failed at, and how to go the right way on the tee, which I also failed at. Yet the memory that stands out the most was that Tuesday. My flatmates and I walked into our apartment, welcomed by the smell of gas. We sat outside waiting for the maintenance guy, talking while eating tortilla chips on an Alston Christmas sofa. It turns out it wasn't a gas leak, but I realized later that I wouldn't have remembered that moment if it wasn't for the people around me, the community that had formed. The desire to learn about other people's culture is also an important aspect of community building. I remember one random night I was eating dinner and got into a conversation with Emery about religion. Another night I stayed up with Kat talking about Lesotho, her home country. And just the other day I was learning how to make Vietnamese spring rolls for the first time with the NTU students. Unexpectedly, learning through each other's cultures brought us closer together. The role community plays in culture was also a critical factor in my internship. The Margarita Muniz Academy is a dual language school, but I quickly realized that there was much more than learning in 2 languages. It's about cultivating a sense of belonging where ESL learners can practice English while also being able to fall back on their mother tongue to express themselves to their teachers and friends, feeling validated. I think it was around the 3rd week that I realized I would not forget this experience. In fact, I'm not really sure I can forget any of this. My friend said to me the other day, we come into this program knowing there will be an end, yet we still choose to form relationships with each other, even though we risk forgetting them. But I don't think we forget them completely. We disperse, but the memories stay with each of us. I remember one of the first Fridays after class, 10 of us went to dim sum, and it took us way too long to figure out how to pay the bill with cash. And from there on, the memories flood. Eliza trying to put high heels on to hang her string lights. Sean, Shumi, and Theo shivering after falling into the Charles River. The crowded streets of Beacon Hill on Halloween. Strange interactions on the 66 bus. Drinking hot cocoa in coffee shops to warm up. Apple picking, dumpling making, Friday shout-outs. In theater, a few hours before opening night, my director would always say, hold on to this moment with this community you formed, because the chance you'll ever find yourself with these people in a room again is close to 0. He would then say, who knows, this could all disappear in 2 days, and then we forget until it ends that we're not ready to let go.